You have to know how to deal with fear, because fear is closure. Fear is the enemy of enlightenment.
Yes.
I learnt to deal with fear when I was a boy, because I was a diver, underwater diver. I even got my C class certificate when I was 10 years old, which is for diving underwater with tanks. And my father was a diver, and I used to go out diving with him, and we used to dive in water where there was a lot of sharks. And I had a terror of being eaten by sharks, an absolute terror. And I realized that the terror was stopping me from getting in the water. And so at some point, I just made it okay for the sharks to eat me. I made it okay for me to die. And in not resisting the fear, but instead of making it okay, fear died. Fear only survives if we resist what it is we're frightened of. If we make it okay, fear has no power. So we can disempower fear by simply making it okay for whatever we're frightened of to happen. Now, if it's paying the bills and you think you might be able to pay the mortgage payment or something like that, and you might get it kicked out of your house, you just make that okay. And the fear will disappear. Then you try and pay the bills.
Yes, of course.
but you're not supporting fear anymore, because you're not resisting. You've stopped resisting and you're making it okay.
That is so true. I'm right now, a lot of memories from the past is coming, that it is how many times I've been feeling fear and I overcome it, just confronting the fear. And that is not so easy for many people. I understand.
No. Well, a lot of people have a problem with failure, because when we were at school, we had to get it right every time. And the problem with having to get it right every time, it keeps us in a state of stress, and it supports fear. I learnt as a boy to make failure okay. Not that I'd ever try to fail. I always tried to succeed at whatever I did, but I made failure okay so I could then be relaxed. Because when we're trying to be perfect, we can never be relaxed. But if we're okay with failure, we can be relaxed.
That is true. That is true. It's just being okay, basically, with failure.
Yeah.
And it happened. As many times we fall down, and as many times as we need to get up, we have to do it.
Exactly. Well, that's how you win. That's how you succeed. It's how many times you get up.
That is so true. And we play the same thing, something that I'm reading from what you sent me about the victim, when we have the victim mentality, to feel freedom when we are not into that. And that's something that I've been working a lot with myself, and I work with people at the same time. Because yes, we can go with the victim mentality later on. Sorry. We go with the perpetrator mentality, and with the same people that were playing the victim mentality, because it's just games.
Yeah.
That we play, everybody.
Yeah,
But
well,
that can give...
I stopped that when I was 19, because I saw that I was a victim, and I saw that you have to volunteer to be a victim. I mean, bad stuff can happen, but to be a victim of that bad stuff, you have to volunteer. And I saw that being a victim was a choice. I could choose to be a victim and suffer, or I could choose not to be a victim and not suffer. At the moment you turn yourself into a victim of anything, you start blaming, so there's also the potential for anger, because the fuel for anger is blame. And so in removing victim-orientated thinking, by not supporting it in any way, shape or form, I removed most of my anger as well.
Yes, that's true. Like I always said, the expectations are the ones that hurt us. The people are just being themselves. But the expectations that we're doing are the ones that
expectations. Expectations. So I don't expect anything. I'm actually okay with whatever is, because I learnt that to be truly happy in this life, you have to accept life as it is. The moment you don't accept life as it is, you put yourself in hell. But that's you doing it to you. It's not the world. The world is just doing what the world does. We create our reality by the way we think. And if we turn ourselves into victims of anything and we start blaming, we're creating hell for ourselves. So I accept life as it is. And I don't even judge it. It's like, I'm not into good, bad, right, wrong. I'm into this is what is. This is the way the world is. And so we look at the political situation out there, and you might disagree with it, but my understanding is this is what is. It's not right, wrong, it's not good or bad. Because the moment we go to right, wrong, good and bad, we get caught in judgment, and we get caught in the potential of victim-orientated thinking.
That is true. That is so true. We're making expectations at the same time, so we feel the victim.
Yep.
And when we feel the victim, we're far away from the heart.
Yeah. I expect to be betrayed. I expect to be lied to. Because that's human. This is human beings we're dealing with. You know, to expect different things from human beings is being out of touch with reality.
It's funny. Yesterday I was having a conversation with someone, and they tell me, "Who do you trust?" And like, I really only trust myself. I trust my higher self because I have the best interest over me. And from there, I don't trust anyone. Why? Because everybody's human and everybody's gonna think in themselves before thinking in someone else. And this conversation is taking me to that thought, that who do you trust?
So there's an old Sufi saying, I don't know if you're familiar with Sufism, but there's an old Sufi saying that says, trust in God, but tether your camel. And I think that's a wise saying. You know, we trust, but make sure. Check. Make sure. Don't be naive.
Yes.
Trust, but make sure. Just check. Don't take anything for granted.